I want to describe a Tuesday afternoon that I think a lot of people are going to recognize. It was about 4 years ago. I was making a grocery run on the way home from work. Quick trip. I had a mental list, knew what I needed, was going to be in and out in 15 minutes. 53 minutes and $247 later, I walked out to my car. I stood there in the parking lot for a moment looking at the receipt. Nothing on it was outrageous. Nothing was a dramatic purchase I could point to and say that was the problem. Just a collection of completely ordinary items that had somehow added up to significantly more than I expected. The brand name version instead of the store brand, the pre-cut vegetables that were twice the price of the uncut ones because I was tired, the item on sale that I bought 3 of because it was a good deal, even though I only needed 1, the snacks that were not on any list that found their way into the cart through some mechanism I could not fully account for. I sat in my car and did some math on my phone. If this happened twice a week, 2 grocery runs where I spent roughly $60 to $80 more than I needed to, I was spending somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000 per year on the gap between what I intended to spend and what I actually spent. Not on extravagant purchases, on the drift. The small, quiet, completely reasonable feeling overspend that happened at the grocery store, at the coffee place, at the online checkout, at the subscription renewal that I did not cancel because it was easier not to. This is what I want to talk about today. Not the dramatic financial mistakes that make for compelling cautionary tales, the hidden ones. The quiet traps that are built into the everyday texture of middle-class life and cost far more than most people ever calculate because individually they never feel like enough to worry about. Let me walk you through the 7 I think are costing the most people the most money right now. Trap 1. The subscription drift. Let me start with the one that has gotten significantly worse in the last 5 years. The average American household is currently paying for somewhere between $200 and $300 per month in subscriptions, according to research by West Monroe Partners. And the same research found that most people estimate their monthly subscription spending at less than half of what it actually is. Think about that for a moment. We are paying for twice what we think we are paying for, automatically, every month, through charges so small individually that they never trigger the spending attention that a large purchase would. Netflix, Spotify, the gym membership used 2 times last month, the news site accessed 3 times a year, the cloud storage that upgraded itself to a higher tier, the app that went premium, the meal kit that you paused and then forgot to cancel, the software subscription from a project 2 years ago. Each one individually defensible, all of them collectively representing $200 to $300 per month, $2,400 to $3,600 per year, leaving your account on autopilot while you remain largely unaware of the full total. The fix for this trap is not complicated. It requires 1 hour of dedicated attention, a subscription audit where you pull every recurring charge from the last 3 months of bank and credit card statements, list everyone, and make a deliberate yes or no decision for each. Not a rough sense of what you have. Every charge, listed, decided on. I did this about 3 years ago. I canceled 7 subscriptions in one sitting. The monthly savings was approximately $94. That is $1,128 per year that I had been spending on things I had either forgotten existed or kept meaning to cancel and never did. 1 hour, $1,128 per year. Trap 2. The convenience premium. This is the trap I was experiencing in the grocery store parking lot. The convenience economy, the entire industry built around making the easier, faster, less effort version of everything available for a premium price, is one of the most significant hidden costs in the middle-class budget. pre-cut vegetables instead of whole ones, single-serving coffee pods instead of ground coffee, food delivery instead of cooking, the grocery store brand that is twice the price of the store brand for the same product in a different package, the overnight shipping option selected without real thought. None of these individual upgrades is expensive. The convenience premium on pre-cut butternut squash versus whole butternut squash might be $2.50. The convenience premium on a pod of coffee versus ground coffee might be $0.80. The convenience premium on a grocery delivery order might be $8 in fees and $15 in tip. But the pattern of consistently choosing the convenient version creates a structural overspend that compounds quietly across every category of everyday life. Research from the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Survey shows that middle-class households spend significantly more on food away from home and food delivery than lower-income households, not because they're eating better food, but because they're paying for the convenience of not preparing it. I'm not arguing against convenience. Convenience has real value. I'm arguing for consciousness about it. The household that occasionally chooses the convenient option and usually chooses the economical one is making a very different financial decision, compounded across years, than the household where convenience is the default. Trap 3. The upgrade cycle. Your phone works. A new one came out. Your laptop does everything you need. A faster model is available. Your car runs perfectly. It's 4 years old. Your kitchen is functional. A renovation would look beautiful. The upgrade cycle, the pattern of replacing things that work because a better version exists, is one of the most expensive hidden traps in middle-class financial life, and it's almost entirely invisible as a financial pattern because each individual upgrade feels completely reasonable. The data on just one category of this, smartphones, illustrates the cost clearly. The average American buys a new smartphone every 2 to 3 years, even when their current device is fully functional. The out-of-pocket upgrade cost after trade-in averages several $100s per cycle. Over a 40-year working life, this habit costs tens of thousands of dollars on phones alone. Apply the same pattern to cars, laptops, televisions, appliances, and furniture. All the categories where perfectly functional gets replaced because newer exists, the lifetime cost of the upgrade cycle is genuinely extraordinary. Genuinely wealthy people, the ones with lasting financial independence rather than the appearance of it, operate by the rule that Thomas Stanley documented extensively in his research. If it works, it stays. Boredom and novelty are not valid financial reasons to spend money. That rule, applied consistently over a lifetime, is worth more than most people imagine. Trap 4. The social spending pressure. I want to talk about this one carefully because it touches something that goes beyond money into identity and belonging, but I think it needs to be named clearly because the financial cost is real and significant. A meaningful portion of middle-class spending is driven not by individual want, but by social context. The group dinner at the restaurant that was above your usual budget, the birthday gift for a coworker you barely know, the round of drinks you bought because the group dynamic made it feel socially necessary, the trip you joined because declining felt like it would exclude you from the friendship. None of these feel like financial decisions in the moment, they feel like social decisions, and the financial consequence is real. Research consistently shows that exposure to higher-income social environments, spending time around people who earn and spend more, increases your own consumption regardless of your actual income or intentions. Economists at the University of Chicago documented that this social comparison effect explains a meaningful portion of the decline in the American savings rate. Your social reference group is quietly setting your spending floor. I'm not suggesting you stop participating in social life. I'm suggesting you get deliberate about the difference between social spending you genuinely value and social spending that is driven by pressure or obligation rather than authentic desire. The practical version of this is a monthly social budget, a specific dollar amount allocated for social activities, and the confidence to decline invitations that fall outside it without extensive justification. Trap 5. The financial products that sound like savings but actually function as spending traps. And the middle-class consumer is the primary target for most of them. The store credit card with a 10% discount on the first purchase, the rewards card with annual fees that exceed the rewards most people earn, the buy now, pay later arrangement that feels like discipline because there's a payment plan but charges significant interest after the promotional period, the loyalty program discount that encourages purchasing things you didn't need to capture points, the discount that makes you spend more than you would have, the reward that costs more to earn than it returns, the interest-free period that becomes interest-bearing before the balance is cleared. These are not scams. They are legitimate financial products with specific terms that are fully disclosed. But they are designed to generate revenue from the gap between what people intend to do and what they actually do. And that gap between the intention to pay off the balance in time, to actually use the loyalty rewards, to actually save the 10% discount, is where the trap lives. The rule I apply: any financial product that requires me to change my behavior in order to benefit from it is one to be skeptical of. If the benefit depends on me being more disciplined than I typically am, the product is likely making money from the version of me that is less disciplined. Trap 6. The insurance you are paying for twice. This one surprised me when I first calculated it for myself. Most middle-class households are paying for overlapping insurance coverage without realizing it. Credit card purchase protection that covers items also covered by homeowners or renters insurance. Travel insurance purchased separately that is already included in the premium credit card annual fee. Rental car insurance purchased at the counter that the credit card already provides. Extended warranties on products already covered by the manufacturer's warranty and the credit card purchase protection. The average American household spends approximately $1,000 per year on insurance products that either duplicate existing coverage or cover risks so small that the premium paid over time far exceeds the likely claim. 1 hour of reviewing your current insurance coverage, credit card benefits, existing policies, and what is being purchased additionally typically identifies several $100s in redundant or unnecessary spending. Trap 7. The savings account that pays almost nothing. This is the last trap and in some ways the quietest, but in a current interest rate environment, it matters more than it used to. The average traditional savings account at a major U.S. bank pays somewhere between 0.01 and 0.5% annual interest. The current high-yield savings account rate at online banks like Marcus by Goldman Sachs, Ally, SoFi, and American Express (HYSA) is significantly higher, in the range of 4 to 5% as of mid-2026, though rates will adjust as the Federal Reserve moves. The difference between those two rates on a $10,000 emergency fund is approximately $400 to $500 per year. Not dramatic in isolation, but compounded across the years that the emergency fund sits, doing its job, being available, not being touched. The difference between the traditional savings rate and the high-yield rate represents thousands of dollars over time. Moving the emergency fund to a high-yield account is a 30-minute task. It does not change the accessibility of the money. It does not change its function. It changes what the money earns while it sits. Trap 8. The financial products that sound like protection but sell you a story. I want to add one more trap here because I think it's become significantly more common in the last few years and it deserves its own moment. There is an entire category of financial content, advice, products, and services that sells itself as protection from all the traps I've already described, and in doing so becomes its own version of the exact same problem. The premium budgeting app subscription that costs more per year than the subscriptions it's helping you track. The financial coaching program sold through a monthly payment plan with total costs obscured behind the small recurring number, the very pattern we spent an entire earlier video breaking down. The debt relief service that charges a percentage fee to negotiate debt you could negotiate yourself with a single phone call. None of this means financial products, coaching, or tools are inherently bad. Some of them provide real, calculated value. But the same discipline you apply to a car loan or a streaming subscription needs to apply here too. What is the total cost of this over the time I'll actually use it? What am I actually getting, in concrete terms, for that cost? Would the free version of this, a spreadsheet, a library book, an hour of your own research, accomplish 80% of the same result? I bring this up specifically because financial anxiety, the kind we talked about in a previous video, makes people especially vulnerable to solutions that promise to make the anxiety go away for a monthly fee. Be as skeptical of the products claiming to fix your money habits as you are of the habits themselves. The compounding effect of all 8 traps together. I want to close this section by putting a number on what happens when several of these are operating in the same household at once, because I think seeing them stacked together is more useful than seeing any single one in isolation. A household paying $250 a month in unreviewed subscriptions, spending an extra $70 a week on convenience premiums, upgrading a phone and a laptop every 2 years instead of every 4, allocating $200 a month to social spending pressure they didn't consciously choose, holding one redundant insurance product, and keeping their emergency fund in a traditional savings account instead of a high-yield one, that household isn't making any single decision that feels alarming. Every individual choice examined on its own looks completely reasonable. Added together, conservatively, that pattern represents somewhere between $8,000 and $12,000 a year. Not hypothetically, not in an extreme case, in an entirely ordinary middle-class household making entirely ordinary decisions, none of which would show up as a red flag on any single bank statement. That's the nature of a hidden trap. It was never designed to be caught by looking at one transaction. It's only visible when you add up the pattern. What I want you to do this week is what I did 4 years ago in a grocery store parking lot, but in a more deliberate and comprehensive form. Spend 1 hour pulling every recurring charge from your last 3 months of bank and credit card statements. Every one. Mark 3 columns: keep, cancel, review. Anything you actively use and value, keep. Anything you forgot existed or have not used in 30 days, cancel. Anything you are unsure about, review before the next billing cycle. Then calculate the total monthly cost of the cancel column. I would be genuinely surprised if it is under $50. For most middle-class households, it is between $80 and $2,400 per year. That is $960 to $2,400 per year that is currently leaving your account for things that are not improving your life in any meaningful way. That money, redirected to an automated investment contribution, begins building something real. 1 hour this week. We'll see you in the next one.